Good morning, y'all. Keith Dykes here with W.K.D. Construction. It is a beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning. I'm here in front of my barn, and today we're gonna get started on the barn doors for our stud bay pantry. While I'm right here, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the camera around and let you see how beautiful it is right here. Oh, look at them gooseneck lights on the barn. Cherokee brick, yes sir. Look at that. How beautiful is that? Come on now. Get to wake up and look at that every morning? Shoot. God's beauty right there. So we'll go on into the shop and get this thing laid out. We're gonna do a little metal and wood barn door. The outside of the framework of the door is gonna be 1.5 inch angle iron. And the center part is going to be just wood. So I think I'm going to do maybe a 1x8, I don't know, maybe a 1x10, and then kind of shiplap it and do a horizontal panel inside inset into the angle iron. Well, I'm in the shop now and I'm trying to get my old trusty old bandsaw set up. We got to set it up on a 45 because I'm going to miter the corners and then I'll weld them to make the framework. So we're gonna take the square, get this set up on a 45, and then cut some angle iron. That was my first cut, so we'll take the square and check it. I think that is good. So we'll get my measurements, my lengths, cut the sides, cut the tops, and get ready to weld them up. I opened up the hardware pack for the barn doors, which is, it has the 2 tracks. This is for a double door, so I've got 2 4-foot tracks. That way I can open up both doors, you know, all the way. So I got 2 tracks, and I got the wheels in one package, your rail stops, and your spacers. And then here's the other pack, so they're 2 in 1. That way I can get a double door. And I'll show you my little drawing that I made on some graph paper. So it's basically what we're gonna have. I have 2 24-inch doors, of course a roller, 74 inches tall. I'll probably use a 1x8 or 10. I don't know what I really want to do yet as a horizontal backer or a insert right there. And this is kind of a side cut. I'm going to have the 3/4 inch board on here. This is your angle iron, 3/4 inch board here, and then a 1/2 inch plywood on the back just to kind of give it a nice solid backer. And I know that in between my track right here is 1 5/16 inches from the top of the door to the center of the track, so that'll allow me to measure my height, what I need to make them. And I forgot on the, I think I said I was going to use 1.5 inch angle iron. Well, I ended up using 1.25 inches because if I went up to the 1.5 inches, I had to go up to 3/16. So if I stayed at 1.25 inches, I could use the 1/8 inch metal. We didn't need the 3/16 thickness. It was just a little too bulky. So I just kept it at 1.25 inches. So we're gonna make it work with 1.25 inch angle iron. All right, I got the sides cut and I'm just gonna put them together. Put them back to back, make sure the lengths are exactly right. And they are. My bandsaw may be old, but that sumbitch cuts like hell, man. It works good as a mofo. Yes, sir. And I bought my old saw from a client I built a house for. Actually, the very first client I had when I got my general contractor's license, and I think it was 2006. So I bought that. I think I get like 50 bucks for it, man, and it's been worth every penny. But I've got, all right, so I got my sides cut and my tops cut. Lined them up, checked them out, and they're good to go. So we're gonna get the old Miller Thunderbolt AC/DC welder, and I bought that from the old man too. I think I give 50 bucks for that. So I'm not a dead eye badass welder by no means. I can run a little rod. Not really good. I'm not going to be welding vertically or anything like that. So I am not a pro welder by any means. I just kind of taught myself, but we'll get them up here, tacked together and weld them up. So I've got it set up on my old welding table that I made several years ago. But I think I'm just going to come in, tack the inside of these corners, cross measure, scoot this back. Of course, this sheet was square, so that's kind of why I set it up on the edge right here. Then, like I said, I'll come in, tack the inside pretty good, check it for diagonally square, put the bottom in, tack it, and flip it over, and finish the weld up. Alright, I got it all spot welded up. Okay. So I got it spot welded. Just right there and right there, if you can see that. So now I'll just take it and I'll go ahead and run a small bead. I think I want to weld that because I kind of want to see that. I want to see the kind of more of the industrial look. So instead of being really clean. So I will go ahead and put a small bead here, and on this corner I'll probably go ahead and grind this corner down and leave the bead alone on top of the face because I want to see it, and then just smooth this corner up after I weld it. So there it is. 2 frames welded up, and like I said, I'm no welder, and I'm not giving tips on any welding, okay? I mean, I can stick it together, but if you want me to do any structural welding, I am not your man for sure. Oh, it's gorilla weld. It's strong as hell, but you know, it's ugly. It's ugly, boy. So don't be too hard on me. Now that I have the frames made, this week, next few days, I will probably go over to the lumber yard, pick up some either 1x8 or 1x10, and I have some 1/2-inch plywood left off of another job, so I'll get my 1x, get them made into the shiplap, get them into the frames. So I'll go ahead and paint the frames as well. Just going to black them out, so I'll get those painted, get my 1x ready to go, and we'll insert them into the frame here in the next few days and put them together, man. What would? So I grabbed the sander, the orbital sander, put a 100 grit sandpaper on there and just kind of smoothed them up, just kind of get that old primer and all my flapper wheel marks off and get them nice and smooth before I paint them. But then I am going to pre-drill some holes in the side of the frame. That way when I put the wood panel in there, I can screw it in through the side. So I'm just going to take a measure, find my layout. And then just a countersink bit. So now that I've got my hole countersunk, I'll find a screw that fits accordingly. Probably a number, I don't know, maybe a number 4, number 6. I don't know. I'll have to look and see exactly what really fits good and flush. Just a little Krylon, a little spray bomb. That'll do just fine. So we got the first coat on there. Like I said, we just spray bomb them. If you really want to do a high-end look, you can definitely take them and have them powder coated. It really wouldn't cost that much, but it's just in the barn. I'm not really worried about it, so I'm just gonna spray bomb it. 2 words for you. Track saw, man. Dude, this thing, I don't know why it took so long to even buy one. These things are awesome. If you want a super accurate straight cut, track saw. I've used the DeWalt brand, and then I bought this one, so I do like a Makita skill saw. I do need to get the longer track. I do need to get, I think it's 115 inch, I think, or something like that. I do need to get that. That does, if you're gonna use a track saw, it does do better to be able to cut one time. This way, I've got to measure in the middle and move it, but man, it makes a world of difference. Before I painted the panels one last time, I went ahead and took my plywood that I cut with my track saw and pushed it in there just to make sure I didn't have to recut it. But hey, track saw. I use it all. I never would have imagined I'd use it as much as I do, but I do. I use it all the time. It is a great tool. Very, very precise tool. So hey, get you one. Get you one. Now that I have that fit in there, now I will cut and start making my 1x8. I ended up going with a 1x8 select pine, which is a #1 pine, no knots in it. I wanted something clear, a little more furniture grade, so I did get a select pine. I will cut them to length, and then, or I'll probably router them. Like I said, I'm gonna do a shiplap type of joint in there, so I'll get them milled and then cut them to length, and then I will fasten to the plywood and then just stick it in here as a hole after I get everything stained and clear coated. Here is the select pine that I picked up. Like I said, it is clear. It doesn't have any knots in it. It's a little more better on a furniture grade side. But we are going to make it into shiplap, which basically shiplap is a rabbeted joint on one side and a rabbeted joint on the opposite, on the bottom side. So this one's on the top, this one will be on the bottom. You just alternate that thickness and depth, and you put them together and it makes the joints. But here's a rabbeting bit. Nothing special, got a little bearing it runs on. I have all the boards run one time with this little small bearing, and this rabbeting bit comes with different size bearings. That's the smallest, it's like 3/8. I'm going to go up to a 1/2 inch. That way when I run this on the back, on the front side now, then I'll have an 1/8 inch gap left in between there when I butt the boards together. I'll reset my router to my depth, flip it over, and we'll run this side. I have both sides of this shiplap run. So now we'll sand them down really good, get them nice and slick, smooth up the edges, do some staining, do some clear coating. I have the old sander out. I'm gonna use 100 grit on the first pass, make them nice and just kind of get all those chatter marks out of them, and then put 220 on the other sander and smooth them out. Get them slick, smooth as eggs. Swap to the 220. They're nice and smooth. We are gonna stain them. I'm just gonna use Minwax. I want it to match the ceiling, which is in the barn. I think a special walnut, I believe is what it is. So I'll get a special walnut, put it on there, and then I'll use 2 coats of polyacrylic, the water-based clear. Man, that stuff, I really like that stuff. There we go, Minwax, special walnut. I'm just using a rag to apply it. I couldn't find a dang brush, so I'll just rag it on.
It's a new Purdy brush. Gotta love a new brush. It's a Minwax polyacrylic clear. I got it wiped down. These are nice and dry. We'll let these dry and come back in the morning, hit them with some 600 grit sandpaper, and clear them again. My boards are nice and dry. They've set overnight, and I got some 400. I didn't have any 600. My 600's on the job, so 400 will work perfectly. I got them all stacked up, and I'll just sand them down, man. Gets all them fibers in that top grain, smooths them out. Get a damp rag, wipe it down, wipe it. This is my second coat of polyacrylic clear, and I'm using a satin finish. I don't want it too shiny. Second coat is on there. I'm gonna let these dry, wash my brush out, and then here after a while, we'll cut them to length and fasten them to the, right here, the plywood panels, the plywood inserts. Get them fastened there, and we'll be ready to stick them in the frames.
I'm laying out my wood. That basically is going to cover 1 inch. So I got a 1 inch mark here and a 1 inch mark here, and I measured from here to the 1 inch mark, and I got 4 1/8 there, and then I'll have 4 1/8 from here to this mark. That way they are centered in there. So I'm gonna have to cut this board, cut that board, and I will have the same reveal from my first shiplap joint to the edge of the metal. And to get the correct spacing, because I just made these joints the same, that way I had a little more room. So I just took a couple of these. They're just tile wedges, and doubled them up together. Made everything tight, so everything stays consistent. Use what you got, man. Don't go buy new stuff. Just use what you got. I had a bunch of these, so hey, it worked like a champ. I think before I fasten it down, I'm just going to use the little liquid nails. So here I drew some reference lines where these meet. That's way I know I do not need to nail right here because it'll blow out. But just got some 1 inch staples, and we'll just staple throughout there, and that way it holds it really nice and tight to the plywood. So one panel has been completed, and I'm gonna try to sneak it in the frame. Pretty heavy. Got a little weight to it. That did not recess like I thought it would. It's time to back up and punt. Son of a gun. Alright, y'all, kind of goofed up. This is 1.25 inches, my plywood, and the wood is 1.25 inches. So of course when I stick it in there, I've got a 1/4 inch left. So instead of scrapping all this and making a new frame or something, I think I'm going to take my spacers. We'll mark that, and I will router the top edge down a 1/4 inch, and kind of it'll be reliefed. It'll kind of sit as a relief. It'll kind of come flush back up with the top, and then it'll look like each individual piece of shiplap has been made to look like that. So, which I wasn't planning on that, but that was my goof up. I should have noticed it earlier when I measured and I had 1 inch, and I should have known that 3/4 plus 1/2 inch is 1 1/4 inch, and it was not go, and it wouldn't work. So got to back up and pump. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work, and it's gonna look good. All right, so I got my corners marked, the middle marked, and what I'm gonna do now is get my track saw, or the track actually, and then I got a base that I can fit that rides on the track saw track, and put it in my router and make a nice clean reveal, man. Ooh, let's get at it. Let's do it. I'm gonna go ahead and score what I need to with the regular circular saw blade. That way I don't risk tearing out a big chunk with the router. So I'm gonna just go ahead and score all the way around the outside of it, and then I'll come back with a router and recess all of that I've scored. So there, we got it outlined, and we'll take the router and just get rid of the material that we've got outlined. So here is my setup. It's a base plate that's been 3D printed. It's got a little groove, got where it rides in this groove. That keeps me straight. So let me show you it up. Well, I've got it all routed out and sanded, so I'm gonna grab the frame and sneak it on there, see what we got. OMG. Well, it definitely worked. Yes, sir. Well, let me show you. So you can definitely see now it's about flush. It's definitely flush on the back side. That's what I was wanting anyway. But I wasn't wanting to have to spend all that extra time doing that. But it'll look cool. As soon as I get all this, I'll have to pre-stain, repoly it, and get all that dark, get all that groove dark. It'll definitely look better. So now that I've re-stained and polyed the edge where I had to relief the shiplap, I went ahead and put the frame on, and then now I'm just fastening where I pre-drilled earlier. I just pre-drilling and then using these little, I don't know, maybe number 4, number 8 screws. I don't know, about an inch long, just to fasten in the panel. Then that'll hold, and then we will install the top roller hardware somewhere about in that area. I don't know if you notice anything different about my lighting in here. Oh, look at that. Yes, sir. I got my attic storage built, and I bought 4 8-foot strip LED lights, and man, it lights it up like a champ. Because you know, last time it was kind of dark, and I had to use the dang drop light. So I finally got me some light in my little shop, workshop area. So I am loving it. I am fixing to mount the roller onto the door, and on my instructions I know that right here it's got to be 2 inches from the top of the door and then 3 9/16 inches apart, the bolt holes. And dude, this is what you need right here. Look at this. True Position Tools. This is a cabinet hardware jig, and it is beautiful. Look at that. I can go ahead, I've got my holes marked. These are going to be my holes. It's got a stop on it. Stop it right there. I can drill this side, flip it over, and drill that side. How sweet is that? So I want to thank True Position Tools for sending this to me. They found me on Instagram and love to send me one, and I am very appreciative. This is the first time I'm using it, and it is a really solid, it is a beautiful tool. So I will definitely be using this from now on. So check them out, True Position Tools. I will put a link into the description and get you one. This is awesome, man. So all I have to do now is set it down, and the kit comes with a drill bit. This is a 3/8 inch nut with a bolt with an acorn nut. So we'll just finish drilling those with a half-inch bit. I'm gonna come up through the bottom on this one. Golly. Knew that was going to happen, but I think my bracket's wide enough to cover it up. Son of a gun. So had a little blowout chunk right there, so but it barely, I'm talking bear's ass covers. Oh geez, this one didn't do that. I didn't have the tear out, but that hit that top section and tore the damn thing out. But anyway, all right, now that I put my bolt in there, washer, but I think I'm gonna have to cut the length of my bolt. Sure enough, so I'll have to cut a little bit off there, about almost 3/8 probably, so I can get the nut down tight where it sits flat against the bracket. Always something. Alright, I've got my nuts. These nuts. Alright, so I've cut down my bolts here, and the acorn nuts screws on like a champ. So all we got to do now is put them on. One door complete, and we're ready to start on this other one. I think I'm gonna take all of my wood and all of my shiplap that I made. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on table saw and go ahead and make this relief, because that was a pain in the butt with a router. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do it on the table saw. just went ahead and got my table saw set up. Put a 1/4 inch deep kerf in there, and then I'll come back and take that material out with the table saw, save me some time, do a little better, and then I'll apply it to the plywood and then stick it into the metal frame. I kind of goofed up, so my bad. I'm gonna try to fix it with this though. So now I'm just gonna fit them on the plywood. Go ahead and sand both ends that I put on the table saw. Got it. And then we'll just repeat till we get to the bottom. All right, I'm gonna start at the top. Got a little liquid nail on there just to give it a little extra hold. And some pin nails. Holy cow, something in my throat. Luke, I am your father. Little Tommy boy. Does anybody love Tommy boy? I love Tommy boy. Tommy boy is the best. I can sense your sarcasm. Get yourself a new map. Holy, I don't know. There's something in my oval up in there. Oh, jeez. But put that on there. And I just got these little tile spacers like I used on the first door. I'm just going to use them as a consistent spacer for my shiplap reveal joint. Holy cow. So I just moved it over here. Blow it up. And then I'll do a little stain and a little clear coat. Let it set up and dry, and then we'll put it in the frame, and we'll be ready. We will be ready to hang it, son.
I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it's feeding time for the cows. But I'm just going to use some 400 grit sandpaper. Just kind of go over the whole thing. Then put a coat of another coat of clear, and I'll be ready to. We'll let that dry, and then we'll be ready to set it into the frame.
All right, the pantry doors are made and we're ready to install them. I'm gonna kind of run into a little issue. The track is going to set on the trim that runs above the door, and I don't want to add to that piece of trim because it'll tie into another door. So I am going to cut me some just 3/4 inch black iron pipe, which is the perfect diameter for the base of the mounting bracket for the track. So I'm basically going to cut some pieces that are 3/4 of an inch thick, because that's the thickness of the trim, and use them as a shim. That way I do not have to have that trim board going all the way across, which kind of looks ugly at times. So I'm just going to make some spacers actually that will go right in here, and we'll screw them to the wall, and you will never know it. So I'm gonna get to cutting, get my trusty bandsaw out, and cut me some pieces, and I'll show you what I'm talking about inside the house on the pantry. All right, here is my track mounting spacer, which the track will mount on this piece of trim. And this is what I'm talking about. I don't want to put a piece of trim that butts into here, because they're not the same height and it would look like ass. So when I mount this on here, that's where I need the spacer. I need the spacer in behind it to take up the thickness of here, so it will set, the track will set flush all the way across through there. Even right here, I'll have a couple track spacers right there that I'll have to do as well, because my door is going to open. It's 4 feet wide total, but I'm going to open 2 feet this way and 2 feet that way, so my doors will actually be over to here. I'm gonna get the laser, we'll set it up, get me a line across there, and we'll start hanging these brackets. And I've got my little pieces of 3/4 inch pipe cut and painted, and basically it's gonna go just like that. So I mean, it'll be fine. It's not just the exact same diameter, but it'll be close enough. You won't ever be able to know that it's any different. So my doors are 74 inches tall, 24 inches wide. That gives me a 74 by 48 inch opening, with 48 will give me about 1.5 inches overlap here, and almost 1.5 inches overlap at the top and the bottom. So I think I'm gonna set up my laser. I'll set my laser up right here, shine it over. I think I want the top of the track, from the bottom of the doors to the top of the track, need to be 76 inches. So I think I'm going to set, if I set my track to the top, basically to the top of the door, the trim here, then I will be at those increments that I need to be at. So I think that's what I think that's what I'm going to do. Laser is set up basically 1 inch down from the top. That'll be basically right where I need it to be. So this track system is a 2-piece track. There's 2 4-foot tracks, and then I'll have a little spacer, or not a spacer, but a little track coupling, I guess you could say. Puts both tracks together, holds them tight. But I got my laser set. These are my spacers, and then we'll use this. I think it's a 3-inch by probably about 1/4 lag bolt. So I'll go ahead and get them lined out where they need to go on my track, and pre-drill, and we'll mount these dudes. So you still got a little adjustment right there. Make sure you're centered up there and centered here. then this end one, I'll just, the end one I'll just sneak in there. Because I got to use my little spacers too. I'm gonna go ahead and put the little track adapter on and make it a little easier. Which the track is tapped, and he's just got a little Allen wrench, Allen headed pan screw or countersunk screw. Come on now. Alright, y'all. It's time to install the doors. I'm going to put them up here, see if my track stops will work where they work. I don't know if they're going to work. I think it's a little too close for my track piece right there, my coupling. So I don't know if I'll be able to do that. I can definitely do it at the end, so I don't know about right here. Let's see, and hopefully, if my door's not perfectly plumb, maybe I got enough slack in these hangers that I can kind of adjust it, get it pretty tight. Oh, ho, ho. Slides good. Pretty heavy door. That's pretty good. I don't know, maybe I can get it down about a 1/16 on each corner. Tops line up pretty good. If I can get those up on the corners, tighten my gap down here. Let's see if we can sneak these in here. Oh, yes, sir. We got it, Bill. We got it. Toyota, son. Show you. Much better. Much better. Tighten back up. Beautiful. I'm tickled with them, man. That looks awesome. But yeah, let's see. Get it centered there. I don't think, yeah. There's not enough room. I can't get this piece in between there and the hanger. Ah! Daggone it. But they will work on the end to where some crazy kid comes in and opens, and they're not gonna throw them off the dang track. So I'll get those on. All right, to put these stops on, I'm basically just gonna, I'll just flush it up with the edge of the trim right there. And sneak them in. Now on the bottom of the door, I've got to get a door guide. So I ordered these. These go on the made to go on the floor, but I think I'm gonna have to fab them up too to make them work. Which right here is the spacer. That's got a little roller, which works perfect. That's the perfect spacing from my wall to the back side of the door. But I think I'm gonna have to cut this off, maybe heat it up and bend it up. That way the door can't travel this way. So I always got to make something work. You know what I'm saying? All right, I've got a remedy. So I took my bracket and I basically just cut it off and left enough room where I could bolt this other roller on there. That way now this one will flow here. And now we've got space where the door will fit in there. And I think it looks fine. It'll be all right. It'll be on the very bottom. It's not like you'll be eyeballing it anyway. All right, so I've modified my stop bracket for the middle. I just basically cut off about a ½ inch. I've got one set screw left, so that'll be fine. Just enough to hold it where it won't shimmy shimmy Cocoa Puff and find the center part of it. Come on, baby, work, 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 work. It's gonna be tight. There we go. Now we gotta stop. Yes, sir, got it. Man, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I'm really tickled with the way these doors turned out. And I kind of had that goof up, the mistake, when I didn't have the recess. You know, I'm just gonna put it on there. But man, I really dig the look, how it's recessed. It actually looks more finished. It looks better versus just, you know, having that tucked under there. So a lot more detail in the door, and I didn't even mean to, man. Hey, sometimes those happy mistakes turn out to be a blessing. Well, there you have it. That is my video on how I made pantry doors for my stud bay pantry here in the living quarters of my barn. If you haven't seen the video on how I made the pantry, not the doors, but the pantry, I got a video on that. I'll put a link up. Once again, I'm Keith Dykes. These are the pantry doors. Thanks for watching, and got it, coach.